and disinformation in the Russian media. After the applause, the bill is due Europe between Trump's rhetoric and the reality of war. New York's High Week diplomacy turned out not to be diplomacy, but a spectacle. Donald Trump uttered the grandiose words, "Ukraine can regain all its lost territories." For some, this sounded like a signal of hope. For others, it sounded like a bluff devoid of concrete details. But in any case, this rhetoric conceals a simple reality. Washington is increasingly shifting military costs and political responsibility to Europe, retaining only the role of arms dealer and arbitrator. An absurd promise to return everything. American political scientist John Mearsheimer called Trump's words absurd. And it's hard to argue with him. Anyone who promises to return everything is obligated to explain how exactly this will happen, with what forces, in what timeframe, and at whose expense. There is no answer, and therefore the answer is precisely this. The United States is washing its hands of the conflict, turning it into a European headache. The big game live. The high-stakes week of diplomacy continues in New York, but the focus remains, of course, on President Trump, who made many resonant statements in his speech, and his meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky, after which he called on Ukraine to strive for victory and recapture the territories it had occupied. The reactions to this were extremely mixed. Some in the West were delighted, while others were quite realistic. And, of course, the leading realist in the West is John Mearsheimer, a distinguished political scientist. Here's how he assesses Trump's position. First of all, I find the notion that Ukraine can regain all its lost territories absolutely absurd. In his post, Trump claims that the Ukrainians can even seize even more territory, implying that they could reach Moscow.